So do you see lots of people go early vote there?
There was a few, yeah.
Okay. I'm actually very nervous about this election.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because there are so many people that say it's so close and Harris is ahead in this state or that state. And then there are others that are
Mm.
saying, those polls, they're lying. And and
Right.
that Trump is further ahead than what they want to say, and that's why the Democratic Party is actually panicking a little bit because
Hmm.
they know Trump
Hmm.
is ahead, especially in the swing states. So,
Right.
so I don't know. We've seen this before,
Hmm.
and the problem is many of those polling companies, are part of mainstream media,
Right.
which love Democrats, and so we'll see.
Yeah. I remember 2016, the surveys and all the surveys said that Hillary Clinton going to win big, and turn out
Right.
she lost. But I don't know about this year. Well, we just start and just want to say thank you so much for coming to our program, and thank you so much for everybody to come to Cheyenne's Forum. Today is October the 1st, and then we have one more month to the election, to November 5th. And then we have lots of to talk today, Tom. And thank you again so much. And then some topics of today. The first one I like to hear from you is about Israel, about Middle East. The war right now is like more severe. So what's going to happen there? And also, is that will affect the election here in the United States? That's one question. The second question is about the dock workers strike set to go today. I just wonder why now? Okay, this is my question. And the third is about Obama, his background. We actually mentioned a little bit last time, and people are so interesting on that because this guy seems so powerful to affect what happened in our state and the Constitution, everything in the political life of the United States since he's the president. And also, we see some bad sign right now. The first is California. Actually, Newsom just signed a bill which ban the requirement for the voter IDs. Okay, it's already he signed yesterday. It's a law right now in California. You cannot ask him for the voter's ID. The second is we find out there are 210 over 210,000 dirty votes in Arizona already. So I don't know what's going on there, and it's not a surprise to me. And the same group of people did the same thing at 2020. Why won't they did another time, 2024? So I don't know what Republic is going to do for that, etc. So there are so many things that we need to talk about, Tom.
Okay.
Yeah. So before we start our topic, I like to introduce Tom. He worked in FBI for almost 30 years, and for 5 years, he worked as a assistant director, and he's retired now. So, Tom, let's start from Israel. So, what do you think that the wall?
I don't know what to think about Israel because we've heard every day for how long now, months. Oh, they're going to attack tonight. Oh, there's going to be an invasion today. Oh, the Hezbollah is going to attack it. We hear this day after day after day. Israel's going to attack on land. They're going to send land troops into Lebanon. Well, okay, send them.
Mhm.
They keep talking about sending them, send them. The only difference now is that we have dispatched U.S. troops to Israel, and to what extent are they going to be involved, and to what extent, so when you wonder how will this affect the election, our
Mhm.
election, not Netanyahu, but the United States election, the issue would be when Americans start dying over there, that'll get everybody's attention. Right now we've heard this steady Oh, they're going to attack. Oh, they're going to attack. They're launching missiles. The dome is shooting down the missiles. All of this kind of stuff. And at what point are we going to have to admit we've sent U.S. troops there and they're going to start dying? And when U.S. troops start dying and it cannot be hidden from the public, how will that affect the election? Good question. Will they still support not Biden in this case, but Kamala Harris, because she's part of the Biden regime for the last 3.5 years?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they're liable to be held liable by the U.S. public, who normally don't want U.S. troops
Mm-hmm.
engaging in foreign wars. Now, so far, our politicians and neocons and warmongers have bragged about the fact that, well, in the Ukraine, it's Ukrainians dying. So that's good news. It's only Ukrainians dying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, publicly, that's only Ukrainians, but actually, that's not true either. We
Mm-hmm.
have Americans dying in the Ukraine, and we keep sending, money there and support to Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
and now Israel. So it remains to be seen. Now, one of the issues that may come up, especially with Ukraine, is that once again, we have a major disaster in the United States, Hurricane Helene.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars of damage, hundreds of people killed. And
Mm-hmm.
yet, when Biden, when he does one of his answer questions on the fly, before he's getting on an airplane or helicopter, he's like, "Oh, we've sent all the money we're going to send to the states in the South that affected by the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
However, we still have money to send to Ukraine, and we're going to send another $6 billion." So Biden just announced in the last couple of days more money to Ukraine
Right.
in what is a completely losing effort. Every major reputable former military officer on the various podcasts are
Mm-hmm.
saying the war's over. Ukraine is pretty much wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
But we're sending money to pay for their pensions or pay for whatever in the Ukraine, but it's not working. We're not helping the Ukraine win a war,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not going to win the war.
Mm-hmm.
So these are a lot of difficult issues if the U.S. public ends up paying attention. And I think if U.S. soldiers are known to be dying in the Ukraine, are known to be dying in Israel or Lebanon, I think that if that comes out publicly in the next 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
I think that will have an effect on the election. So Kamala Harris has got to keep herself hid. Don't answer any questions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like she's not. If she has a teleprompter and prepared script, okay. But if not, forget about it.
Yeah. So it seems like it won't affect the election if there's no reporter from Israel or from Middle East that said that American people dying there. So
Yeah.
it will be fine. It's their war. It's not our war. So people won't bother,
This
right?
will be like, 4 years ago. Hide as many things from the public, the Democrats, hide as
Mm-hmm.
many things from the public as you can
Mm-hmm.
so that they'll vote for the Democrats. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened 4 years ago when they covered up the Hunter Biden laptop. Oh, that was Russian disinformation. Anybody with any background in national security knew that was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
51 people, former and present intelligence officers, lied. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a real extensive national security background in that, but I have enough background to know it wasn't a lie. That
Mm-hmm.
laptop was real. The messages on it were real emails between people like Tony Bobulinski and Hunter Biden and others. Everything on that laptop, the photographs, the photographs of Hunter Biden smoking crack,
Right.
being with underage girls in hotel rooms, all of that, everybody with any brain knew that was real.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Democrats, they managed to get, uh, members of the intelligence community, 51 of them, 2 weeks before that election, saying, "Oh no, it's Russian disinformation." Has all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. It had none of the hallmarks of Russian didn't have any. But people don't know. Well, if if John Brennan and the other experts say that, must be true. Well, it wasn't true.
Oh, John
Later,
Brennan.
when it comes out a couple of weeks later that it wasn't true, and
Mhm.
many Democrats were polled and asked questions about it. Well, if I'd have known that what they said wasn't true, I wouldn't have voted for Biden. Well, too late.
Right.
And you should have known better back then. Too
And
late.
nobody hold accountable. So that's the thing. People lies, they lie every day, but we need to hold them accountable. If not, they will do it again. And
No,
then,
you're right. They keep doing it over and over because it works. It's
right,
very successful.
right, right. And you just mentioned John Buchanan. I remember you mentioned this name, this good name, last week about cover up for Obama at Indonesia.
Right.
Yeah. So tell me about this guy. He seems really
Well,
interesting.
he's voted for I don't know, out and out communist or what. He has a very strange reputation, even before. But he gets involved with Obama, and
Mhm,
Obama's mother in Indonesia was reported to be working for the CIA,
mhm,
and Obama had to cover that up. So they sent Brennan,
mhm,
loyal to Obama at that time. Brennan goes to Indonesia to cover her tracks and
mhm,
therefore cover the tracks that would lead Obama to be part, through his mother, related to CIA. So Brennan does that. Very loyal. He goes and he tries to cover up all the different things and spread disinformation in Indonesia that
mhm,
gets back to the US that, oh no, Obama, his mother, they were not CIA workers. They were not officers.
mhm,
And, so that worked. So
mhm,
Obama, and then Obama rewards Brennan by having him be his national security advisor, later director of the CIA, um, all of those things. So again, it's part of the cover up of Obama's background. Now, whether or not Obama was born in Kenya or somewhere else, in a way, doesn't matter because his mother was a U.S. citizen. So therefore, it doesn't matter if he's born on the moon; he's a U.S. citizen.
mhm.
But when he's a child in a madrasa in Indonesia, going to school in Indonesia as a kid, his mother is running around working for the CIA.
I see. Maybe a very important position. He's not a regular, just a normal officer. It seems like oh, well, thank you so much for sharing this information because this guy John, is he know something before even Obama being raised as a star? Is he know anything about something? It's so fishy here. Right,
Probably knew, but we, try to prove that he knew.
right, right, right. And he looks so loyal to Obama, where
Absolutely. And
Obama,
Obama paid him back. He
right.
worked closely for Obama during the whole Obama presidency, including when he became head of the CIA.
Mhm, mhm. Right, right. Well, this is really, really big. I still need to digest that Obama's mother works for CIA. So Obama is not, as many people know, that from middle of nowhere. He's from somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I heard a story in Moscow, 1992. There's a party. Someone just said, "Look, there is a young man who is, and I cannot remember if they know his name or not, but said that he will be an American as president, the president of United States, and he's very young and he's not white guy." And these people know about that in 1992. I'm not quite sure is this legit, but you heard some story about that, meaning that someone know that Obama going to go to White House before, long before his become a rising star. So
Right.
he is not an organic road to a president. He is actually be trained, be put on the position. And if that's the case, people will definitely ask, so who? Who is training him? Who is put him to the position? Obvious.
People don't ask, and for the most part, don't care. So Obama was the guy, a progressive Democrat, hope and change, all of the rhetoric that they wanted to hear, and that worked. It was successful. So all
Right.
of these things, when they put in the campaign, the
Mm-hmm.
disinformation that they make public,
Mm-hmm.
it may get debunked weeks or months or even a couple of years later. Too late. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Hunter Biden laptop. Oh, that's Russian disinformation. Well, that's completely debunked and shown that that laptop was 100% real and true and belonged to Hunter Biden. And other people like Bobolinsky and other business associates verified that the emails that were on that laptop and that were becoming public were true, that they
Right.
had sent or received those messages
Right.
from Hunter Biden. So, but it didn't matter. The election was over and they won.
Yeah, exactly.
So Democrats, oh, if I'd have known that they were, doing that, I wouldn't have voted for Biden. Yeah, well, you did. You voted for Biden.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's so sad. And then let's talk about dark workers strike. Well, people strike all the time, but this one is a huge one. And my question is, why now? One month before the election.
Because
So
the workers, the dock workers are going by the rhetoric of Joe Biden. He's a union guy. He'll back them all the way and all of that. And they figure that gives them leverage right now, a month before the election, go on strike and have the Biden administration help them obtain better terms, let's say, with the shipping companies, with the docks. And
mhm,
that's why they're doing it. So they know that, Biden has made all these promises of how close he is to the unions. He's a union guy. So they're figuring, let's take advantage of the union guy
mhm,
because he is still president. Let's take
mhm,
advantage of that
mhm,
and, go on strike.
mhm,
Get Biden administration to help negotiate on their behalf the
mhm,
raises they want, whatever else they're asking for, usually money, and get the administration to be on their side to obtain better contracts.
mhm.
So that's why the strategy, they have leverage over the White House and they know it.
Okay. So what's your opinion on the strike will help the Democrats or the uh, Republic?
Well,
Which
they want it to help the Democrats. They
Mhm,
want Biden to come in and help negotiate on their behalf and Biden to come out and support them publicly and all of that.
mhm,
But depending how long the strike lasts, then it
mhm.
will benefit Republicans.
Right. So it's
So
hard to
that's what the difference is going to be is that, Biden talks about the economy, Bidenomics and all of that. And if all of a sudden you have a devastating strike right at the time of the election, then at some point people will hold Biden accountable for
Mhm,
not solving this and getting this resolved.
mhm. Right. I heard that they asking for the salary, raise the salary for 80%. So
Yeah.
that's huge. That's a big requirement. Do you think they can satisfy them for 80% increase of the salary?
Well, probably not 80%, but they have to negotiate. And so start at 80 and maybe they'll accept 40. We don't know.
Mhm.
We don't know what the leadership of the dock workers unions uh, are going to want, what they'll settle for.
Right.
On
And
the other hand, if it gets resolved before there's any impact for the average person,
right.
um, I heard from a friend of mine today
Mhm.
that people are going to Costco and stocking up because, you know,
Yeah, right.
various products are not going to be delivered. Well, it's not going to happen overnight,
Mhm.
but there will be panic buying after time. Now, many of the economists are saying that the shortages won't show up maybe till after the election. So they might not, the average person may not be affected between now and November 5. We don't know that yet, but we'll find out.
So not good news to average people.
No, not much is these days.
I know. I know. Yeah, because if they have a deal and the salary raise, it will transfer to the average people, the buyers, eventually.
Well, all of this was looming over the last, couple of weeks or whatever, that the strike was coming or very possible. And then you have Biden saying over, when people are questioning, what'd you do all weekend to try to fix this? Well, I was on the phone for 2 hours Sunday and 2 hours Saturday while I was at the beach lounging. So, so he's sunbathing at the beach, and in the meantime, he says he made phone calls to try to resolve this, but it didn't. The phone calls didn't work. They still went on strike starting today, starting Monday.
I
I
know.
mean Tuesday.
I actually personally, I have no words to say to Biden administration. And I just wonder why people cannot see that and still vote for them. They done nothing good to American people, to American as a country.
Well, they're listening to all these lies. Trump is Hitler. He's going to take away your rights. He's going to institute tyranny and a fascist. And that's nonstop on the mainstream media, nonstop out of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. So even though it's not true, people are like forgetting that Trump was president 4 years ago,
Exactly.
4 years ago.
Right.
How much tyranny did he invoke? Did he get revenge to go after Hillary Clinton or the other people that people wanted him to go after, and he didn't? Did he do all of these things at the time? Did he stay and require the military to evict him from the White House when he lost? No, none of that happened 4 years ago. Why would it happen now? But they want you to believe, they want the average. And of course, especially young people that weren't paying attention 4 years ago to the details of that, they're liable to hear that, oh, Trump's a tyrant. He's gonna be a terrible president. We're gonna go broke. Country's gonna suffer. None of that was true. The country was in tremendous shape 4 years ago. And you
Exactly.
notice during the debate with Kamala Harris, between Kamala Harris and Trump, the
Mhm.
first question she was asked was, are people better off today than they were 4 years ago? She wouldn't answer it.
Her
Well,
answer, now here,
I'm a middle class. I was in the
yes,
middle. My mother was middle class. He goes through these nonsense non-answers all the time. She
yeah.
never did answer that question because
Mhm,
the answer is everybody was better off 4 years ago,
mhm, mhm.
except criminals and illegal migrants. They might not be, but everybody else, American citizens, were better off.
Right, right. So I just want to tell everyone who watch the show right now. Of course, our audience are definitely know what's going on, especially they have the comparison of Biden time and Trump time. They do know that. But I just wish more people, American people, average Americans know about that. It's a huge difference. And Biden administration have done nothing good for our country and for us. So
Just
just
look at what
don't,
they do when there's a disaster. You
right.
have the disaster in Maui, and
Mhm.
they go to the aid of the people there. They sent every one of them $700.
Yeah.
How was that? One trip to the grocery, two trips to the grocery store? So that was ridiculous. Then you have the disaster in Pennsylvania, the train wreck that poisoned the whole town. And of course, everybody's saying, well, that's a red state area, Republican area. Therefore, the Biden administration is going to do nothing. So Biden doesn't go visit. Buttigieg, Secretary of Transportation, he waits a couple of weeks before he shows up. He does nothing for the people. So another disaster that they've done nothing. Now you have Hurricane Helene, and the southern eastern part of the United States is devastated. They've
Mhm.
done nothing. They haven't sent anything. They haven't said anything significant. Nothing. Now what? The next week or two, Kamala's going to visit. Biden's going to visit. So what? What have they been doing in those states? You have, for the people in Tennessee, for example, DeSantis from Florida is doing more for them than the White House is doing for them. So you have this neglect, and at the same time, the insensitivity is unbelievable. because at the same time that that this disaster happens to so many millions of people, in the middle of that, Biden says, well, we're out of money. We don't have any more emergency money. We don't have more money to give FEMA. Their budget's already been wiped out. But we're going to find $6 billion additional to send to Ukraine and additional money to send to Israel. And the people aren't paying attention, that they're being neglected by this White House. When you look at the devastation, not just in Florida, where the hurricane went ashore, but look at the pictures of Asheville, North Carolina. Look at the devastation of that city, the flooding, the disaster, the bridges knocked out, all of those things. Where's the Biden administration? Who knows? Who knows where they're at? But
Well,
typically, they're ignoring them, but they're not ignoring Zelensky in the Ukraine when he asks for more money.
so I just wish this is happened in front of our eyes. And
Yeah.
I just wish people notice. Just pay
If
a
your
little,
if your eyes are open, you might notice.
yeah, you have to know about that. And then we have to do something to just take them out from White House. That's the only thing we can do, right? So far as American citizens. And then talk about the debate, Tom. I know tonight we're gonna have a huge debate. So what's your predict of this debate?
I think it'll be very interesting because I think that they're probably coaching Kamala Harris's selection for vice president, Walls. They're probably coaching him on what lies to tell
Right.
that the people won't know the difference.
Mhm.
And now you have J.D. Vance, a Yale Law School graduate, first in his class, I believe, who is very skilled at finding out the truth in this situation. So the truth would be, in Minnesota, for example, go back to the riots of 2020. You have the governor waiting days to send in the National Guard. In meantime, how much property, public buildings, private buildings, businesses were burned out in
Mhm.
Minneapolis? And he
Exactly.
didn't bother to send the National Guard right away. Then you compound that disaster with the damage that was done on his watch, where he did little to or nothing to stop it at the time. At the same time, Kamala Harris announces she's setting up funds to bail out the rioters so
Mhm.
that they can get out and hopefully, and she's saying at the time, hopefully continue the riots, continue the damage and the arson and vandalism and everything else that they were involved in. And she backed that up 100%. So between the governor of Minnesota at the time and the vice president, you know, terrible,
It's a
terrible
very
disaster. And they,
complete. I'm sorry. Hello?
I'm sorry,
Yeah, I'm
I'm sorry,
sorry.
say,
Yeah,
say
yeah.
again.
Yeah, I just think that Kamala Harris and Tim is a very good quote unquote combination to destroy this country. Let
Oh,
me
they're
just
right.
very
Exactly.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So we'll see. And then yeah, I wish that Vance can debate, of course, debate to Waltz and also mention some bad things happened in Kamala Harris vice presidency. This is good. This is because this will bring people to the last debate, which some point Trump did not point out that how bad the Kamala Harris is as a vice president. I
Yeah.
wish this can mention something on this part and talk about the election right now. We have a lot of states are start to the early voting already, and yesterday Newsom just signed a bill that ban to request the photo ID for the voters. To me, it's just like inviting people just vote. No matter who you are, just vote. It's
Yeah.
1 month before the election. He signed the bill. So to be honest, I see no hope in California at this point. And I don't know what's the Republic of California going to do. It's going to be too late because it's already October. So they don't care. They just openly asking for the people who have no ID to vote. So they are just going crazy, and I don't know what we can do here.
Well, the one advantage in California is that Gavin Newsom cannot run for governor again. So here's a guy when they were talking about him being a presidential candidate a year ago or 2 years ago, uh, and I was saying things somewhat sarcastically, but true, that here's a guy that he ruined the city of San Francisco with
Mhm.
his policies, and the homeless increase and everything else, lawlessness in San Francisco. Well, that's not good enough for him. He has to become governor and therefore diminish California, one of the most beautiful states in the country and the world. I think as an economy, it's the fifth or sixth largest economy in the world, the state of California. He's got to bring California itself, the whole California down, which he's done and
Yeah,
continues to do. Now,
right.
luckily, he can't run for reelection as governor.
Mhm.
So hopefully, in a few months, this will end in California, except the state is pretty much blue and we'll elect another moron. But then he decides he's hinting at he'll run for president and be a candidate for president. And I was saying at the time, you talk about someone who has ambition. I'm going to ruin the city of San Francisco. But that's not good enough. I'm going to run for governor of California, and then I'll bring down California. Oh, that's not good enough. Let me put these policies in effect nationwide and
Mhm.
bring down the entire United States. And this is a guy that people are saying, well, I heard some pundits on TV, like on the TV show The View, one of the ladies saying, well, I would vote for him because he's so pretty. Okay, good reason to vote for Gavin. He's pretty. So, he ought to have a sign that says slippery when wet because he's slimy. And he's been in every one of these positions where the jurisdiction that he was over got worse under him. Now, there's a guy, triple loser. Yeah, he'd be a good president. Do it to the whole country, what you've done to California. And that's why you have so many citizens of California fleeing, so many businesses fleeing, all the damage that he's done to arguably one of the most beautiful locations in the world with unbelievable natural resources in California. Everything about California is phenomenal, except the leadership, which is horrible,
Mhm.
the Democratic leadership.
Well, so right now I'm just thinking that from China, I know that the China machine, propaganda machine, brainwash people. And I see similar thing here in the States. And it really works. People are brainwashed
Yeah, absolutely.
very badly.
Absolutely.
Under name the of the thing that the funny thing is it's under name of democracy, under the name of freedom. Actually, they have none of them. None freedom, none democracy. Only have is propaganda. Let's just say that MSNBC, CNN, and every the major medias. And of course, I was asking that who are behind these major medias? Are the media people so stupid? What are they doing? Because in China, you have a communist party behind the propaganda machine. So everybody knows that these televisions, newspapers, magazines, you name it, they're behind the CCPs behind them. So
Right.
people understand that. But in American, lots of people seem to don't understand there is a force, one force behind this propaganda machine, behind this medias. And these medias are the tools for them to control your mind, to control the narratives. Do you think that at least half of American people realize that?
I don't know. I don't know because you look at the people that vote for the Democratic Party, and I wonder how can they vote? How can they support the
Exactly.
Democrats that are doing so much damage and
Exactly.
in fact are doing the damage to our tyranny?
Mhm.
Now, there's so much going on that's negative,
Mhm.
sponsored by the Democrats, including the rhetoric which leads people to want to kill Trump.
Right.
And I think that, that's probably, if it was anybody else, if it was Trump's family saying that we should do that to Kamala or Walz or
Oh,
Biden, they'd be going to jail. They'd be
I know.
prosecuted. But you
Uh-huh.
have these people, even senators, even congressmen, even governors, basically encouraging that those drastic measures should be taken against uh, Trump.
Right.
Don't let him become president. Don't let him prevent it. And that's why the comparisons to Hitler. Now, Hitler, in 1933 becomes Chancellor of Germany. Now, he starts his military actions later in the 30s, including the invasion of Poland on September 1st, 1939. So, but during that interim, he's picking up power, the legislature. They burn down the Reichstag so that they can eliminate their parliament and go to a dictatorship under Chancellor Hitler.
Mhm.
And that's what happens. And then you have historians later say, you know, if somebody had killed Hitler in 1933, 1935, 1938, that 100 million people in Europe would still be alive, including the 6 million Jews who were killed in the Holocaust. So that rhetoric comparing Trump to Hitler is basically saying if you want to prevent 100 million people from dying in the United States and around the world, you better take him out. And that's the kind of language they use. He needs to be eliminated. He needs to be taken out. He needs to be, they're not referring to voted out. They're referring to if he needs to be killed to save the country.
Mhm.
And there are enough idiots out there. They hear that rhetoric and they're like, okay, I'm going to be the hero and take him out. I'm going to be the hero and kill him.
Tom, there are so many times, especially recently, I just wonder how much we can trust about our history lessons. Is that true that we think we know about the history? Because there are things happen in front of our eyes, and one is the fact, one is narrative. And so many people just accept the narrative as a fact, which is wrong. And this is what happened in front of our eyes. And can we really trust the history, which tells us blah, 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 blah? A is
Well,
A,
you
B,
can't trust the history. It's not history if it's not factual. You can't trust the people making up stories
right.
about the history, the lying about the history about what happened. And I think that's where the problem comes up is the lies that are being told as if it was history, as if it was true.
Right, right,
And the media, to a large extent, controls the narrative. So if you look at, the former Soviet Union during the time 1917, the revolution, you have Lenin and Trotsky and Stalin and others, they have to rewrite history for the next, how many years that the Communist Party is in power in
mhm,
Soviet Union. So that's what has to happen is they use Pravda and other media in the Soviet Union to lie about what they're doing and why they're doing it and who's running the country and how they're running it.
mhm,
And that was just the way it was. Pravda lied, supported the regime no matter what it took. And it took a long time for the people to finally realize it wasn't true. And that's kind of what you have now. We don't have Pravda, but we've got MSNBC, CNN, these other channels that are putting out propaganda, putting
right.
out things that aren't true. like the laptop is Russian disinformation.
Mhm.
Those networks knew that it was a real laptop. They knew it, but they put this lie out, and the rest of the public. And you have so many Democrats later, 2 weeks after the election, say, "Well, if I'd have known the truth that that laptop was real, I wouldn't have voted for Biden. I voted because they said it was fake, that it was Russian propaganda." And that's how stupid the people were. They wouldn't listen to anybody that was saying, that laptop's real. How are they going to fake the pictures? I saw people being interviewed at the time saying that the pictures of Hunter Biden smoking crack in a hotel bedroom with girls, all underage girls with him, prostitutes and otherwise. And I saw people being interviewed that says everybody knows they photoshopped that. It's not really Hunter Biden. How stupid can you be? You look at those photographs. No, they weren't photoshopped. Those were real pictures. The emails that went back and forth, whether it was Hunter and Bobolinsky and some of the other ones, Bobolinsky and others saying, no, those emails were real. Russia didn't make those up and fake it. They were real. And yet, people ignored the evidence that it was real and wanted to believe, oh, it's got to be fake. It's got to be Russian fake news.
Well, that's, you know what, Tom, I'm thinking, I think everyone has their mind and everyone has um, their sense of to be a good person, right? So if you know that you are lying, you don't feel comfortable, normal people, right? Because you trust God and you know that lying is not good. So you keep doing a bad thing. You don't feel comfortable with yourself. Even I heard you describe that they knowing they are lying, they still do that.
Yeah.
Are these people have faith? Why they
No, no,
know
they
that?
don't. And that's one of the pillars of Marxism is that you don't have religion. You wipe out religion. You wipe out, that's why they go after the Catholic Church and other organized religions and want to eliminate it. Then you go after families, the family structure. You don't want parents to have anything to do with raising their own children because you want the schools to be able to determine if your child should undergo a sex change operation or some other gender
Crazy.
changing thing. And then they call it gender care or affirmation, or whatever. They come up with names that make it sound like what
Right.
they're doing is going to improve the health and
Right.
life of the child.
They're very good at that.
Very good. And that's a complete lie. So, but that's how Marxism works. And if you look at, there's a number of very good books about Marxism and the history of it. And especially, this just did not just start 10 years ago in the US or 5 years ago. This began after the turn into the 20th century. Marx, was sitting in the London library writing the
Yeah.
Communist Manifesto
Mm-hmm.
back in the middle of the 19th century.
Mm-hmm.
So by the 20th century, he has followers all over the world, including the biggest example being Soviet Union. That's why they call it Marxism after Karl Marx. And that's what Lenin and Trotsky and Stalin and the other leaders that led the revolution in the Soviet Union in 1917, they lied about, everything until the Soviet Union got dissolved, 90 years later or 80 years later. So that's where the problem comes in, is that people don't pay attention to what does Marxism mean? For example, the liberalism, progressivism in academia.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember when I was young, a couple of centuries ago, that in those days they used to say, well, it's okay if the teachers are very liberal because the students, as soon as they get in the real world, they'll know that that was nonsense and they'll become conservative. They'll become realistic.
Right.
Well, then what happens is that the students don't become realistic. They end up becoming the bosses. They end up putting that progressive philosophy in effect, running corporations, running future academia, professors and other people. So what happens is that the ideology doesn't get eliminated or rectified when people get in the real world. It gets implemented, it gets enhanced, it gets expanded. And so therefore the liberal 19, 20-year-old in a college classroom becomes the liberal professor later, or 20 years later becomes the liberal CEO,
Mhm.
and perpetuate that philosophy, that Marxist philosophy. And people don't realize it's insidious how this gradually takes over the culture of the United States.
Mhm.
Those students become movie producers. They
Mhm.
become media moguls. They become in charge of networks and reporters, um, and then running corporations. So you have this group of indoctrinated people later, as they grow up, implement the indoctrination, not wise up to it, not realize, oh man, I'm glad I outgrew that. That was all nonsense. No, they put it into effect.
So is that, well, can we have a conclusion that the free market cannot beat with Marxism? Because we welcome
Well,
any.
it can compete if the truth is put out by the sources of information of the public have to be honest, have to be realistic. And that's where the breakdown comes in, is when the media started to stand with the propaganda, back up the propaganda, and tell lies to the millions of people that watch.
Mhm.
That's where it breaks down, because the whole population then goes, well, that's not so bad. Nothing to worry about.
So if someone want defeat, want destroy our country, pretty simple. Two steps. One, get into the education. Second, or the meantime, get into the media. And you control these two parts and you destroy this country. No need for the weapon, no need for the hot
No, you're exactly right. What they're doing is destroying the culture.
ray.
They're destroying the culture that America is a good country, that America stands for freedom, democracy, um, free speech. The Bill of Rights, look at the number of people that are claiming that the first 10 amendments of the Constitution are no good, that the Bill of Rights itself, that the freedom of speech in the First Amendment.
Right.
I saw a clip yesterday of John
Oh,
Kerry
Mary, right,
in a
exactly.
panel saying how evil the First Amendment is something, and the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, are something envied by the rest of the world.
Mhm.
That's the cornerstone of American democracy, of
Mhm.
American freedom, of that the citizens, the Bill of Rights
Mhm.
is one after another that tells the government what the government cannot do.
Mhm.
They shall not abridge freedom of speech. They shall not abridge these rights. And they
Mhm.
go on down the line through the 10 Amendments.
Mhm.
And and it's not about, well, the people can do what they need to do or any of it. It basically limits the power of the government.
Mhm.
And it's been something so special in our system that it shouldn't be ignored. And a lot of people like John Kerry is
Mhm.
not stupid. So for him to say something like that, to me, he's evil. I don't care what that. I'll say it out loud.
Right.
Say stuff like that as an educated person
Mhm.
and a well-off person who has benefited from the American system, to put out information like that to the public, that we don't need the First Amendment. We
Right.
don't need freedom of speech or freedom of assembly or freedom of religion. That for him to say that, you
Well,
know,
he is the enemy of this country. If he say
is
that,
an enemy. Agreed.
yeah.
I agree.
So, in China, we have a word that you want to win the war, you have to know yourself and you have to know your enemies. That's the same important. So if you only know yourself, you don't know your enemy, you lose the war. So that's why I'm keep asking you, who's behind this, who's behind that. I want to figure out who are our enemies to destroy this country. And be frankly, everyone should know that this country has been destroyed so badly. And there are enemies are within, and these enemies are at the position, and we allow them to steal from us, to cheat us, to just defeat the great country in the world.
Right.
We allow them, we vote them. We're so stupid to do that. Why
You're right.
can we see that how they just don't care anyone of the United as the United States citizens? They don't care. They care about Ukraine. Actually, they're not care about Ukraine. They care about themselves, their
Exactly.
force,
Exactly.
their group of people. And I just want to know who are these people behind the whole thing to cheat everyone in the United States. And these are our enemies. I don't know who they
Well, I
are.
think you take a look at who benefits from the control they have. The
Mhm.
rich donors that run corporations that make money, the military industrial complex that's making a fortune from the war in Ukraine and Israel and other military spending. Um, you know, there's an expression that I firmly believe in, and that is that you can fix a lot of things that are wrong with people. You can get plastic surgery. You can get implants. You can get a whole variety of things to fix your body, but you cannot fix stupid. And that's where the problem comes in,
That's true.
that
That's
the public has been so brainwashed and so propagandized
true.
uh, over the last actually decades
Mhm.
that they become so indoctrinated that you can't fix it. You can't fix how stupid they are. So you hope at some point that when things are affecting them in a negative way, if they have their children and they allow them to be undergo surgery to change their sex, just and ruin those kids' lives, basically, just completely ruin their bodies, cause that much damage, or some of the other things that they back to allow to happen, and they allow all of that to happen, and then later should see the consequences of the stupid ideas that they had. Now, the fact that they don't realize that they've been tricked by people in power who want to stay in power and get wealthy in power, that's the difference. And this is one of the reasons why they hate Trump so much. He doesn't need the power. He's already wealthy. He already owns property all over the world. He doesn't need any of that.
Mhm.
But some of these people that are in these corporations or supporting the military or sending money to Ukraine that's circular, that benefits them, they need it.
Right.
And the rest of the public aren't, they're listening to the nonsense that Trump is the evil one. Trump is the one that wants to get rich. He asked I saw an economist talking after Trump's first
Mhm.
term, and hopefully it is his first, and the second one's coming, but that after Trump's presidency, they estimated that he lost $2 billion in wealth.
Mhm.
He lost money as president
Mhm.
because he wasn't doing the things that many CEOs would do. And he turned the company over to his sons, and they were being honest. And
Mhm.
basically, the wealth of the Trump organization was diminished
Mhm.
during the Trump presidency. He didn't use his office to get
Mhm.
richer.
Mhm.
Everybody else uses their office to get richer, but he didn't. And
Mhm.
that's why he can't be trusted by them. That's why he goes after the deep state. He doesn't need the deep state. That's why he goes after other crooked politicians. He doesn't need them.
Mhm.
So that's why they're trying to kill him. At all costs, they know he's going to come back into the White House and be an honest president and hurt the crooked politicians, crooked members of corporations, and leaders in the military.
Right.
Uh, he's going to hurt them. He's not going to support them, and therefore he's got to be eliminated. And they've tried every way with the lawfare and all of indictments and everything that they've done to him. Well, the final solution for them is kill him,
Right.
take his life.
Yeah. So basically, if we want to take back our country, we have two steps. Make it so easy, huh? It's not easy. One is go vote and have as many as the conservative people get out and vote for this time. Okay. And the second is we need to take back our media and the education. So these are like factories, the manufacturing, the stabilities. So
Yeah.
if we want to change American fundamentally to like the American should be, and we need to take care of that parts.
Right.
Yeah. And then I saw some audience have some words to say. Thank you so much, Tom. Uh, Hi, Xiao. Oh, okay. All right. Good morning. And then this Shin Su said, for the 8 years of Obama, American just go lefty, very, very left, from the media, the school, and the law force. It's really made me feel heartbreak from Obama 8 years. So
Right.
everything in American is go left very
Yeah.
badly.
Right.
And Scott said we need more and more volunteers to have the Christian to come out and to vote. Just more vote that we need. And then talk about the California, the Newsom, who's just signed a new bill that we need to sue him, just file a lawsuit because it's against the Constitution. Because the Constitution said that only American citizens can vote in American election. So he's definitely against the
Right.
Constitution, but they don't care. Are these people care
No.
about the Constitution? No, they want actually whip up the Constitution. They hate the Constitution. They hate American. They want build their own kingdom,
Right.
which on the name of the freedom and democracy. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Tom. And then, but to be honest, I feel so sad for the still there are people don't realize that how dangerous we are right now, and how much that we need everybody to wake up to vote to
I
Trump.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
2024. Last minute, just give us something. Say something. You have 1 minute.
The people have the power to fix what's wrong in our systems right now.
Right.
They need to use it. They need to, get off their behinds. Trump has used more uh, eloquent language about what they need to do and, getting off their fat blank behinds to straighten out this country, to get involved, to realize what's going on, to realize how damaging it is, and to realize that what Trump stands for, what the Republican Party stands for these days, is for the people. Unlike the tyrants in the Democratic Party who are only standing for their power, how
Mhm.
they can get power and keep it, no matter what it takes.
Mhm.
And that's where the evil comes in right now with these elections. They're coming up with every way they can to cheat. Gavin Newsom, classic example. Well, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to make it so that we win.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
people have to stop that. People have to wake up and stop what's going on.
Mm, that's right. Thank you so much. And I will put your words as a title that people have the power. You need to use it.
I
Thank you.
agree.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. My
Really
pleasure.
appreciate it. And we'll see you next week. And probably we can talk about the debate, tonight's debate on next
Yeah,
program.
it'll be interesting. Yeah, by next week we should have all of the analysis debate went, and
Right.
it'll be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again. And you have a good week.
Okay.
Thank you so
You
much.
too. Thank you.